Have you guys heard of the FIRE movement? What is it? Who's doing this? Well, we're going to find out today in my video. All right, everyone. So with that fun introduction, I want to talk about the FIRE movement. Now, how would you like to retire by age 30 or maybe age 40? Doesn't that sound awesome? I think it does, but do you think it's something that you really want to do? You're going to find out after I explain everything, and I want to hear your answer if you would do the FIRE movement, which stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. And the whole goal is to retire as early as you can, usually by 30 or age 40. Now this movement has hundreds of thousands of followers. I bet you could find so many Reddit posts about this and articles, it's not even funny. But I want to put it into a nice package for you guys to learn, understand, and see if it's doable. So these FIRE people, we're going to call them, they strive to save 50 to 75% of their income. Think about that, 50 to 75%. Think about what you save. Is it even 10%? It's very extreme. And the goal is to retire early and live off of what they saved. Hopefully that means they can retire by age 30 or 40. This is a new wave of young workers that are taking retirement to a whole nother level. And it's not just about being frugal, it's about being extremely frugal. We're talking about doing anything you can to cut expenses and increase your income. The goal here is to reach a point where you do not have to work a full-time job anymore. That means that at age 30, you don't have to work the rest of your life. But we're going to get into a little bit more details and see what that looks like. Now you could add a part-time job after that if you'd like, but it's not to depend on a full-time job. And to achieve FIRE though, it looks like you probably should make a six-figure salary. And is that something that is achievable for many people? How extreme are these FIRE people? Let's talk about that. Some of them will take out dozens of credit cards to take advantage of all the cash offers, the cash back that they can get, and save that, save that, save that. They also will sell everything they have in their house, like, pictures, whatever. The cat, she's not there. Maybe I sold her. Maybe I'm doing FIRE movement. No, she would sell me. Also, you're gonna look at anything you can do to make more money. So a second job, mowing lawns, you name it, they're doing it. And then probably the most extreme thing I think is they are cutting their expenses to bare minimum. Could you get rid of Netflix? Could you sell your car? Could you get rid of the things that you like in your house? Can you sell everything you have that you absolutely don't need and take that money and save it? I don't know. I don't know if I could live without my car or my Netflix. I enjoy it way too much, but that's what they're doing. So we're gonna look at the numbers. It is recommended to save 25 times your annual expenses and put them in investments. So take your monthly expenses, multiply them by 12, and then multiply them by 25, and that's what's recommended at a minimum to possibly reach FIRE. Now, why put it in investments? That's because they want to go by the 4% rule, which means you put your money in investments, which hopefully grow at 7% annually, and you can be able to pull out 4% and not really run out of money each year. Typically by doing this, you're guaranteeing yourself money for the remainder of or most of your life. But people are going even more extreme because that's the minimum. People are doing the 3% rule and saving 33.3 times their annual expenses. Let's say your expenses per month are $2,000, which I think are pretty low. You'd be surprised when you add up all your expenses how much it is between your mortgage, your utilities, your groceries, you name it, insurance. So let's say $2,000 a month. That's $24,000 a year times 25 means you'd have to save $600,000, and this is the bare minimum requirement. It's actually preferable to save 33.3 times. So let's look at something more realistic. Let's say your monthly expenses are $3,000, and that comes out to $36,000 a year, which means you multiply that by 25, it means you have to save $900,000. And what that allows you to do though is that 4% rule is if you pull out 4% of that $900,000 each year, remember that $900,000 is growing at hopefully a 7 or 8% annual growth. That allows you to pull out that $36,000 a year to live off of for the rest of your life. Now, think about that. Could you live off of that $36,000 per year for the rest of your life? That's what the FIRE movement is. It's about being a minimalistic at the extreme, being able to get rid of your full-time job and live minimally for the rest of your life. Could you do that? Live a minimalistic retirement. Nothing lavish here. You're kind of taking out the point of many people retiring, which they want to live comfortably. You're living minimalistically. So let's take a look at some more numbers. Let's say you want to save that $900,000 and you want to do a 10-year career. So you want to start at age 20, retire by age 30. To save $900,000 means you're going to have to save $90,000 per year. Could you do that? How much do you save now? That's extreme. Now let's give you a little bit more cushion. Let's say you want to start at age 20 and retire by age 40, 20 years, and you want to save $900,000. That means you have to save $45,000 a year over 20 years to reach that. A lot more doable than $90,000 a year, but it's still a lot. And that still doesn't guarantee, probably the minimalistic income that you want each year. You probably want some more. I think it's probably more between, 1 to 2 million that you should save. So calculate that over a 10 or 20 year period. It's a lot. Most of these people are saving $5,000 or more a month to reach FIRE. So let's look at this in an investment perspective. Let's say you can only save $500 a month. And let's say you save this over 10 years with 8% growth each year. That means over 10 years, you would have saved $93,872. Not a bad chunk of change, but not anywhere close to reach FIRE. Let's triple that. Let's say 30 years, you save $500 a month at 8% growth. At that end of 30 years, you would have saved about $734,075, which is more towards that goal, but I think the goal should be between $1 to $2 million in order to reach FIRE. Now, let's say you have a great job and you're able to save a lot more. Let's say $2,500 a month at 8% growth. So let's take that. For over 10 years, that means you could save $469,000. Over 20 years, you could save about $1,482,000. And over 30 years of that $2,500 savings a month at 8% growth, that means at the end of that 30 years, you would have saved $3,670,000. That is great. That's more like it. And I think that this brings me to my conclusion of FIRE. That if that's your goal, you have to be prepared to live a minimalistic retirement for the rest of your life. Could you really do that? Could you give up, living comfortably, being able to add, luxuries to your life throughout your retirement? I don't know. Or rather, I think it's best to separate FIRE into FI and RE. Financial independence, let's work on reaching that first. Let's work on not having our one job, the only source of income. Let's work on having a dividend portfolio that brings in money. Let's work on investing in property that people pay you rent. I think that's the way to go first, and then you focus on retiring early when you feel it's right. Because for 10 to 20 years, if you live that extreme just to save that amount of money, I really think you're wasting that 10 to 20 years. What kind of life is that? I don't think it's a good one, because you're gonna set apart the best years of your life, possibly your younger years, living so cheaply and doing anything you can to squeeze a penny that you're not really enjoying life, unless if that's truly what you like doing. So I think, if you're doing FIRE because you hate your job, I don't think that's the right reason. I think you then need to switch careers or a job, do something you like. I think it's better to have a working career that you like and save over that working career. Doesn't mean you have to go as extreme as a FIRE movement. Still work hard on saving a good portion of your money. Let's say 20 to 25% at least, while being able to live life. Go do things you enjoy, take some vacations, things like that. That's still gonna grow you a very nice nest egg, well over $1 million, and it's gonna still allow you a comfortable retirement. Maybe you can retire between age 50 and 60 at that point. So I'd like to know, could you guys do the FIRE movement? Could you retire by age 30 or 40 by saving up all this money and live minimalistic your whole life? Is that something that you would be willing to do? Or would you rather do what I think is better, work in a job that you like, save that money at a very high rate still, maybe not, obviously not as high as FIRE, but then be able to retire maybe 5, 10 years early and have a more luxury retirement, being able to live your life, take those trips you want, buy an RV, travel the country, and do things like that. That's what I see. I don't think the FIRE movement is worth it, but I think it's good. It's getting people to think about retirement, saving their money, and maybe not being so, easy to spend money on things they don't need. But it is good to treat yourself once in a while. So this is the FIRE movement, and I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on it. I appreciate your time today and hope you have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you next time on Mark's Finance and Fitness.